Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Terri Sullivan, ABC6, and I'm joined by a special guest today, Addison Albert. She's an anchor reporter with our sister station in Steubenville, WTOV 9. And Addison, thanks so much for joining me.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just available to be more information for everyone wondering.
Well, we are talking about the attempted assassination on former President Trump just 4 or 5 days ago, Saturday night around 6:10 p.m. Addison, you were at home, you were off duty when all of a sudden your phone went off with the alert that the former president, somebody had shot at him. What did you do and what was the reaction?
Yes, it was actually on the television. I was home in Butler, where I'm from, having dinner with my parents. And my immediate reaction was, of course, being in the news, to text my bosses, to text my digital team, to make sure that everyone was aware that history was happening right in front of my eyes. And then I immediately started to text friends that I knew might have been there based on past political preferences, family friends, because group chats started going off. Is everybody okay? Who's in Butler right now? Where are you? So that is what happened to me. And I immediately grabbed a t-shirt from the back of my car, being off for the day, and told my boss that I would go.
And you were 10 minutes away, you told your boss.
I was only 10 minutes away, the restaurant that I was at.
So you get to the scene. Did you have access right away? Were you able to get in? And what were you seeing on people's faces?
So we'll talk about faces first. Faces were sadness. I actually went to a few homes in the area because I knew people who lived nearby who wanted to speak on witnessing everything, and they were not angry. They were not scared. Everyone was very sad. They were just sad that this celebration of the day that they had gone to had turned to be something tragic, and everyone walked out of the rally very slowly. There was no screaming. There was no running. Everyone was very calm and just sad. But you mentioned roadways, and I have a map right here of the actual farm grounds that you can see. These roadways right here above me, I'm trying to do this backwards, but these roadways right here were closed. But everything was happening in the center. So not very many roads were closed. You just saw a lot of police lights, but we were able to get on the grounds pretty easily and pretty quickly. Just those main roadways that were closed to the entrances and exits of the farm show grounds.
Wow. So how close did you get to the location, to the stage area? Were you able to get in?
No, unfortunately, all the media that were there too were locked in. So if you had not left in the first 15 minutes, you were locked there for a good part of your evening, but I was right here.
Oh, that is pretty close. I'm surprised.
Very close, yeah.
I'm surprised it was so quiet. Usually you would think, when there were shots fired in a crowd, especially at the former president, you would hear screaming and, just yelling and stuff.
Oh, Terry, even at the Sheets that was across the street, people were just wandering around, eyes wide open. Everyone looked very confused,
in shock.
Maybe shocked. In shock. Sadness, shock. There was a few tears, but no one was making noises. No one was screaming. Like I said, not a lot of anger, just complete shock.
Wow. Now, you also know a helicopter pilot who, took an aerial photo of the area where the shooting occurred. And is that the photo that's right behind you?
Yes. So like I said, it's my hometown. So my best friend's younger brother is a pilot. He's in pilot school, and he sent me this just right after it happened, the day after it happened, and said, "Hey, I was able to fly over it. Could this help any of your viewers, anyone wondering?" And I said, absolutely. So this is a map, and you can see this dotted line right here that is actually trying to depict 148 yards is how far the shooter was away from the stage where Trump was standing. That's it. Just 148 yards. And it was outside of the secured area that the FBI, CIA, and other officials deemed the secured area. So it was this outline.
Wow. That's just so close. It's incredible that the person had that much access to it. You also know the person who started that GoFundMe for the retired firefighter who passed away. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so the victim in this situation is Corey Comparator. He was a father of 2 daughters, and he was a fire chief, like you mentioned, and he was a husband and had a wife. And the person who started the
See what we can
GoFundMe.
do about that.
Oh, do you have
Can you
me?
hear me?
I can hear you.
And my technical person has left the office. There you are. Okay. Can you hear me, Addison?
I can.
Okay. So I'm not sure what happened there, but let's talk about the GoFundMe account that just started. I know they had a goal. I heard your story. I heard they had a goal. The man was asking, so how much should we? Well, let's start with 7,000, right? So talk
Yes.
about the GoFundMe account.
Yes. So can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jason Bubb is the name of the person who started the GoFundMe account, and Corey Comparator is the victim in this situation, and it was his family who the GoFundMe was made for. Jason went to school with Allison, Corey's daughter. He took her to a few school dances, and Jason is actually a family friend of mine as well. That is the gist of the situation here is that everybody knows everybody, so everyone's going to be connected. So when Jason made the GoFundMe, I reached out to him to see what his original goal was. Like you said, 7,000, and it has now hit $1.1 million.
Wow. That's just incredible. And where are the donations coming in from?
Everywhere, you name it. Some are anonymous. There was an anonymous donation for about $25,000, and then there's been as little as $5. So they're coming from all across the country, everywhere.
And it's going directly to that man's family.
Yes. And I know that there's 2 other GoFundMes out there who have hit similar numbers, but I'm only speaking on behalf of this one strictly because I know the creator personally. I sang at his wedding. Actually, I know his children, and I know the neighborhood that he grew up in where Corey Comparator was also located whenever he grew up. So this is the one I am definitely saying to get behind because I know it's going directly to the family.
Absolutely. So what else can you tell us about your reporting on this event? Have you uncovered any more any other new information, any tidbits?
So in terms of the shooter, who was 20-year-old from Bethel Park, Thomas Crooks, it did just come out that they saw that he bought ammunition just a few hours before he actually headed to Butler, and he bought it in Allegheny County. Now, the Allegheny County Arms and Guns Works, they are not sharing any information at this point as the investigation is ongoing, but it was his father's rifle, his AR-15, and it was also his father that called police to alert them that the gun was missing, and so was his son. So that is some information about the gunman that we've learned in the past few days. We talked to classmates. They say that there was nothing out of the ordinary with him in school. Whenever they went to school with him, he was quieter, a bit weird. They used the word weird, walked around, didn't speak to many people, but he was always kind when they spoke to him, very smart in class. So all of the confusion about the gunman and that he was in special ed, that he was a very smart boy, and the information about him speaking in class is all that we have. But in terms of the victim, like we mentioned, his family is not speaking to many media sources at this time, which we are staying sensitive to the situation, of course. Only a few photos have been shared about him, but I do know that he was from the Freeport, Sarver area, which is about 20 minutes away from where this all took place.
Okay. How will you remember this? I mean, you're just starting out in your career, relatively, a few years, several years. This is a very, very big story. You're part of history now. How will you remember this maybe in 25, 30 years? What will you be telling your friends about this day or about that day?
I was just asked that question, and I don't think it has sunk in yet that I've been a part of history. I do know that the truth and all of the fact-based information has become so much more important to me than ever before. We've always been told, always say fact, always make sure that it is factual and that it has been fact checked. But this, because it's so close to my home now, I am more sensitive to information that has been out there that is misinformation. So I think that what I'll take with me from this situation is just to always make sure that you are treating it like your hometown and that you are being so particular with what you are sharing, when you are sharing it, and making sure that people are getting information as quickly as possible because they want to know that their family members are okay. And that is my main purpose, is to make sure that family and friends are notified of a situation that they are concerned about or have misinformation about, is to get out the correct information. So moving forward, that's what I've taken from it. In a few years from now, I'll be able to share with children maybe that I have or friends and family that I was there and be able to still put at ease any of their worries that might have happened that day or any confusion that they might have on the situation.
All right, Addison Albert, thanks so much for joining us, WTOV 9. You've got a brilliant future ahead of you.
Thank you, Terri. Thank you so much for having me. And hopefully people were able to take that information and share it with family and friends.
All right, and thanks everyone for joining us.